fonts for dyslexia. This is something that a lot of people discussed in the recent years because more awareness was brought to this topic. It is estimated that 1 out of 10 people have dyslexia, and 70 to 80% of people with poor reading skills are likely to be dyslexic. That everybody knows what we're talking about, I'm just sharing a few fonts, for example, Dyslexia or Open Dyslexic. But you see the aesthetics of this typeface are, let's say, it looks kind of broken in a sense. They deliberately changed letter shapes so that they are more bottom heavy, that you cannot mix up a D, a P, a Q, and a B in the lowercase letters because they are very different. Then we have Lexi Readable, which claims to be like Comic Sans, but for adults, and it's more grown up. It's not that playful. It's just a bit more sober, but also soft and friendly. On the other hand, we have this Comic Sans issue. Research has shown that Comic Sans reduces cognitive load and visual processing issues, which are common challenges for people with dyslexia. We have Nothing's Comic About Dyslexia, which is a cool campaign, I think, claiming that, this is easier for people with dyslexia to read from Dyslexia Scotland. And there they kind of show in a certain way that this is a playful typeface. You should appreciate it and why it is better because of the X-height and of the differentiated characters and the spacing and the bottom heaviness and things like that. And then we also have Chantal Sans. The Chantal Martin, which is an artist, created this together with Aerotype, which is very playful based on her handwriting. And there she just says, I was inspired by Comic Sans because I have always liked how fun and easy it is to read, especially for me as a dyslexic. Maybe also this tone of voice here from Chantal Sans or Comic Sans, that it takes this heaviness out of text if you have dyslexia. So you saw the fonts, they have a very broken aesthetic. They could help people, maybe. You have a bit more information on that?
I'm personally always very skeptical when I see those headlines. Like, oh, this typeface, here's dyslexia, this one saves the planet, this one does this one does that. We are always kind of driven with those headlines, right? And I also feel that sometimes because those are topics that we want to do the best and we want to make sure that we address all the accessibility needs and requirements, people are looking for something to be like, this is an approved one, I'm going to use it because it's approved. For most of those typefaces that I've seen the actual research that has happened, I am very skeptical of the research itself because very often they compare one typeface to Arial. And we've established that Arial is not a good accessible typeface. So beating Arial in terms of accessibility is not that hard, right? I would have loved to see the result, based on something else. And actually the readability group, and I'm going to share this. For me, it's the first time that I saw a chart based on something that wasn't just Arial, the research that was done by the readability group. And they asked people whether they have dyslexic traits or not. They tested a lot of different typefaces, and you can see Open Dyslexic was tested, Dyslexic, Comic Sans. These typefaces performed very poorly, even amongst people with dyslexia. So the dark yellow, the dark blue showcase people that have identified themselves as having dyslexic traits. So you can see that SF Pro, for example, or Segway, or Verdana, or Roboto, or BBC Wreath, and so on and so forth, performed way better amongst this group of people with dyslexia than the typeface that were technically good for dyslexia. Now, as you said, Oliver, it can work for some people, and I'm not disputing that. Because it's a range and it's a large group of people, one solution most likely doesn't fit all. In my opinion, and looking at this graph, those typefaces don't perform better for people with dyslexia. There are other typefaces that have good accessibility, that performs way, way better for people with dyslexia. There's something interesting, however. All those three typefaces, amongst the people that preferred them, the ones that preferred them were people with dyslexic traits versus people that didn't prefer it. And maybe this is where this is coming from. However, within that same group, those same people preferred way more other typefaces. But if we were to draw something general, there are much better typefaces out there that have all the accessibility traits that and legibility traits that a typeface needs to have, such as the open C, the open A, the tails on the L, good spacing, which is super crucial, that perform way better than, typefaces that claim to be the cure for something.
And now I'm forced to use Open Dyslexic if it fits to my project and I want to have this grungy, broken look. I think it would be an appropriate typeface for a little text, but then again, not for the reading text, because it would be too, broken.
So, we always look for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rules that we can follow and go through. I often hear like, oh, you need to have your P and your B and your D and your Q to look different. And again, there is other research that I've seen that shows that it doesn't make that much of a huge difference, actually. The top 4 most performing typefaces, some of them have the same BTPQs, some have different BTPQs. And there are bigger things, like spacing is the most important. Open shapes is the second. A good recognition between an L and an I and an O and a 0 is the third. There are a lot of different things and they all interplay. Like, yes, there is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but there's also kind of a combination of those things.
Yeah, and I think we are really nitpicking here in a sense, always, because we are focusing in such a tiny place here. And I think one thing that sums it up quite well is what Gareth just posted in the chat, which is accessibility is about meeting the functional and the emotional needs and preferences of users, which is wonderful. This was just one part of my conversation with Eleni Beveratou, type designer, where we chatted about fonts for accessibility. If you want to hear the whole conversation, check it out here.